live. It's absolutely live. It's so live. Don't worry about it. I'll get started in a second. It's so live, man. Happy New Year. Let's just get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hey, what's going on? Hello. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to the chat. Welcome to House Parks Mega Worldwide. I'm House Parks, and I will be House Parksing for the whole year, insofar as you know. Yeah, let's get me to 100K. Come on, subscribe. It can't be that hard. There have to be at least 20,000 TYT subscription bot accounts that are disgruntled and looking for a place to play. I'm kidding. Of course, I only want real people, and that's why my growth is organic and genuine, and why I love all of you in my own special way. And all right, I know. A couple things right out of the gate. The horribleness yesterday that happened in New Orleans has turned out to be a terrorist attack. If you only drive a car into a group of people on purpose, if you mean to terrorize them, it's just a matter of what for. And I got news for you. Whatever your reason is, fuck it. I don't know. That is not a good reason. And this goes for you fucking Luigi assholes too. Fuck him, and fuck this guy with the truck. And the dude in the Cybertruck, apparently. I don't know if you guys saw this, but okay, so news comes out that there was let me see if I can put this up on the screen, and we all had a good laugh about it because I don't know how you can't. That there was a Cybertruck exploded in front of Trump Tower here in Las Vegas. We could see the smoke from the house when I was landing this morning. In the middle of what would have been the show this morning because of delays and whatnot. There was a lot of, I think, fun being had at the idea of a burning Cybertruck parked outside of Trump Tower. Well, I'm very safe from the Cybertruck. I have better taste than that. That said, one person has died in it. It seems to be the person who was driving it, and it had mortar-like fireworks is the description that they're using. A video of the Cybertruck exploding into flames in the valet area quickly spread on the internet. The footage was captured both from the guests checking into the lobby and at least one person who saw smoke from the window of a nearby hotel. The driver of the vehicle died in the blast, which happened around 8:40 a.m., literally like half hour before, 40 minutes before I actually landed. And 7 bystanders suffered minor injuries. Authorities said the cause of the blast wasn't immediately known. The funny thing is, it was making. Let's see if the video comes up. No. I'm sorry. You just linked to the word video exploding into flames. Yeah, 1 dead, 7 injured. Is this okay? There it is. This is the... Yeah, that's it. Boom. Yikes.
Copy.
Copy that, champ. And I don't know what that squealing noise is, but it's somebody filming their monitor. That looks like a security monitor. Yeah, alarm manager, search, yada, yada. So it parked there on purpose and then boom. I mean, that's... And it had fireworks in the back along with whatever the real explosives was. So when we saw it, it was just a... exit full screen. When we saw it, it was just a a burning Cybertruck, which was its own level of hilarity on its own. Turns out though it was indeed. Shut up. Not good. Act of terror, bad, all that kind of stuff. That said, were they linked? No, more than likely not. And I have to say the one upside of all this nonsense is that Elon Musk has spent so much time turning environmentally conscious Democrats, who are the primary audience for Teslas, against ever driving one of the fucking things, that they can't blame it on us. That works. Yeah, but they seem to think that the person who blew it up drove there and did it on purpose. Yeah. Also, can I show you this? All right, I'm going to show you the full article on here instead of the raw story one, because I got mad this morning reading this. Check. Hello, Albert. Check, everybody. Think the Cybertruck was a distraction? It very well may have been, but I don't know what it distracted from. Suicide terrorist? I mean, that's the possibility. A suicide tourist? That's a Freudian slip on my part, I guess. But yeah, the weird part is that, in theory, he blew himself up on purpose, or he didn't get out in time before the thing went up. But it was an intentional explosion. I don't know if it was a rented Cybertruck, an owned Cybertruck. I mean, that'll be a fascinating. The details about the guy in New Orleans have spilled out all day long, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. But can I? There are some things, ladies and gentlemen, and germs, if you will, that and hit that like. I insist that. There are some things that set my head on fire when they come up as a story point and as a talking point and as a trend in this dumbest of all simulations. Some of them are the people who are like, maybe it isn't inflation. Maybe it's supply shock caused by a pandemic. Oh, really? You know how I get around that? Okay. This fits into that category, this next little piece. And by the way, you're watching Al Sparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Love to the Patreons. Thank you guys for being the rock that holds the show up. Bless you. All right. This thing. This is an article in Politico this morning, and it's replete with quotes from these uncommitted motherfuckers and the scumbags around them that apparently... I don't know why. Apparently, these assholes still want you and I to believe that they actually wanted to help the Palestinian people, and they wanted a two-state solution, and they wanted to dial back Israeli aggression in the Gaza Strip or any of these things, right? Apparently, they still think we buy that bullshit. I, for one, do not, because there is no way you look at the policy positions and the attitudes of Biden and Harris and where they were going to go with this, and especially Harris, because she was colder to Netanyahu than Biden was, and he hung up on him twice. And again, the difficult balance of protecting the Israeli people while not giving in to Netanyahu, the actual work of being a president versus Trump, who literally referred to the Palestinians themselves as a people, as A, the problem, B, a cancer, and told Netanyahu, do what you got to do, but get it over with quickly. Now, who anywhere sees that and decides, oh, shit, he clearly is the better choice for the Palestinians. Who thinks that for even a half a fucking second? Sorry, my overhead light's still on. Who would say that? Okay, clearly, I guess there are some stupid people out there that might believe that. But on top of that, these uncommitted fucks and these people who were marching and stampeding all over college campuses, demanding all kinds of things, or they weren't going to vote for Harris, and they ultimately did not. The idea that you could look at both these candidates and not go, the one that will be better for and I will have some leverage with and is sympathetic to my alleged, and I will say alleged, ideology in this situation and my wanting to protect the Palestinians would be the Harris team, period, end of fucking story. Because there is no way Trump gives any kind of a shit. Yeah, he called, who is it, Schumer. He called Schumer a Palestinian as a slur. Yeah. So who looks at that, honestly, who looks at that and goes, oh, well, yeah, I can't, in good conscience, give my vote to Harris, so I'm just going to either vote for Trump or let him win by not voting. I'm just going to stand back and do nothing and let him gain the absence of my vote as a lead point. Now, there are, I suppose, morons out there who are that deluded and fucking stupid. And are they walking amongst the activist class of all sorts? Sure. There are some really fucking stupid QAnon Tea Partiers out there that believe the earth is flat and wander among all the other ones who are just bigots. And I'm sure it irritates the bigots that they're making them look stupid as opposed to just all biggity. On our side of the aisle, we have a similar thing. And sure, there must be some fucking morons out there who think that it was a coin flip between Harris and Trump when it came to the Palestinian issue. Those people would be astoundingly stupid, egregiously so stupid that if they had an ounce of ethics about themselves, they would go, I know I'm too dumb to talk about this because I might influence someone with my idiocy and thereby damage hinder the well-being of my fellow human beings on this planet. So I'm going to sit this one out because I'm fucking dumb. But none of them have that. I mean, I won't say that. Some of them may, because we never heard from them. There may have been a bunch of them, and I salute you. I did sing my heart out last night. I am a little hoarse, but it's mostly because I was talking to everybody after the show. But I'm fine. I'll be all right. But I salute all of you folks out there who went, I know this whole thing bothers me, but I'm fucking dumb. And if I start talking about this, I'm going to convince some people to do something god awful. And I presume you just went on with it and voted for Harris and just recognized your limitations. And we'll never know. And it was a quiet act of heroism on your part. But here's the thing. I don't buy it. This bullshit, this end the siege on Gaza now, these fuckers not voting for Harris, letting Trump in and being all like buyer's remorse about it. I don't buy it. There's enough strife in the Middle East between different warring factions and groups of competing Muslims and Arabs of all stripes to explain a bunch of people who go, hey, we can pretend to care about the Palestinians, but it's a great way to fuck them. Yeah. What a great way to undermine their message. We'll show up on these campuses and we'll make them look like assholes. We'll be, undeniably biased and ignorant in how we talk about shit. We'll be anti-Semitic as fuck and still call ourselves Democrats when you're never going to vote in the first fucking place. And it will all be left at the feet of Harris and on the backs of the Palestinian people. That's what I think. Because nobody... there are individuals that are that dumb, but nobody that gathers and can get their act together to all wear the same fucking t-shirt or gather in their own little ribbon or get their pre-printed signs rather that they walk around with. If you're smart enough to do that, this is conniving. I call bullshit on all of them. Bjorn says they don't give a fuck. I go farther than that, Bjorn. I think they do give a fuck. I think they want the eradications of the Palestinian people. I think for the betterment of some Arab groups in the Middle East, it would be a lot better if this bullshit went away. And so if once and for all the Palestinian issue got wiped out, they could go back to hating Jews and using that as a pivot point. They'd have ammunition to do it forever, but they wouldn't have to worry about the Arabs that won't take them. They wouldn't have to worry about the Egyptian border. They wouldn't have to worry about the fact that no other Arab country wants to take the Palestinians in as people. They wouldn't have to deal with that cognitive dissonance. They could just go, fuck them. Oh, how terrible. Oh, how terrible. The Jews did it again. Their argument gets way better. And I just, here's the thing. Some people might think that they were just well-meaning dipshits who woke up one morning and went, "Dear God, what have I done?" Like they all had their own Oppenheimer moment, you know. I've become I'm the destroyer of worlds. Oh dear. When did this happen? Some people can believe that. I do not. I think this was the plan the whole fucking time. I wouldn't doubt if Netanyahu himself funded half of these motherfuckers. Listen to this. And they still have the fucking nerve in Politico to go, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters gather outside the White House in Washington to express their distaste over how Joe Biden has handled the Israel-Hamas war. No. Citation needed. Just because you say you are a thing does not make you that thing. There were people from the Tea Party running around in tricorn hats, you know, with their fucking muskets and their like sashes and all this stuff, acting like they were in the 1700s. And I'm not going to believe that they are somehow 300 years old. Okay? So I don't buy it for a second. This is the first major lie in this article. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters. Bullshit. Because none of these motherfuckers, none of them showed up at Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu was meeting with Trump. Not a fucking one. Not a pair of them that just said, let's get a bus ticket. Let's do it. It's the right thing to do. We know he's going to be there in 3 days. We could take a Greyhound and get there. Not a fucking one. So I'm just not going to take it at face value. I'm going to need, I don't know what kind of proof they could give at this point, because it seems to me that the proof is in the pudding brains. Ugh. All right, listen to this. Pro-Palestinian groups, again in fucking air quotes, in the U.S. are staring down a new challenge. Donald Trump and Republicans. New challenge? New challenge? You out of your fucking mind? He turned off the rules of engagement that Obama put in against drone strikes killing civilians, and civilian deaths went up 80% in his first year. There were more civilians killed in American drone strikes in the first year of the Trump administration, the first year of his first term, than in all 8 years of Obama. And these motherfuckers won't shut up about Obama's drone strikes. Ask them about it. Bring it up. Bring up drone strikes, and the what about Obama shit will fly every goddamn direction. First year of Trump, more civilian deaths than all 8 years of Obama. So that's strike one. If you don't know that, or you're pretending you don't know that, or you're selling the opposite when that's true, that I'm immediately suspect. All right, here we go. The movement has tended to focus its effort on who controls the White House and Democrats, whom its leaders view as more persuadable to soften support for Israel. Well, they got to be in office to do it, stupid. Who gives a fuck? Hey, Anybody know an ex-congressperson that's really persuadable on the Israeli issue that used to be on the Foreign Relations Committee or on any of the foreign aid, budget, appropriation committees that would deal with this shit? Anybody know a Democrat that used to have their seat in Congress or a senator that got kicked out that maybe even voted with Democrats, only 80 or 90% of the time, but now they're fucking gone? You can't again, this goes to what the fuck kind of influence were people buying from Biden in 2017? The 1 year, the 13-month window where he wasn't in office and wasn't planning to run. That's when they're like, aha, he met Hunter's business partners then. Who gives a fuck? He's a private citizen and he wasn't going to run again. And the idea that he was magically going to win. Anyways, that's another conversation for another time. Fuck me. More persuadable. Don't get me started, okay? But 15 months into the war in the Middle East, as the GOP trifecta prepares to control the White House and Congress, thanks, assholes. Leaders in the movement find themselves with far less leverage and much more to lose. No. Second big lie. What do they got to lose? They live here. They're Americans. So shit off their back. What are they going to do? Watch it on their fucking videos of what happens in Gaza or in the West Bank or in fucking southern Lebanon or any of these places on their fucking phone? Right? What are they going to lose? A hitch in their doom scrolling? What are you talking about? They lose nothing. Their house isn't going to get blown up. Their people aren't going to get displaced. Were they going to feel a little more anxiety about people they're never going to fucking meet in the first place? What are you talking about? Enough. Jesus, this TYT shit, man. Some motherfuckers always got to be ice skating uphill. The Palestinian rights movement, again, put that whole fucking thing in quotes, is very clear-eyed, now a warning, in understanding that it is very, very likely that this Trump administration, as opposed to the last one, will mean that things get much worse for Palestinians, said Beth Miller, a political director for Jewish Voice for Peace Action, a left-wing advocacy organization. Now, what makes you left-wing? Huh? You think abstractly being for or against a war or for or against one side of a war makes you left-wing? What do you mean peace action? Peace action sounds like you want to violently disrupt shit. For peace, we have to. Oh. This administration will likely be coming very quickly to try to take down the Palestinian rights movement. What Palestinian rights movement? What Palestinian rights movement? Beth Miller isn't part of a fucking Jewish Voices for Peace Action, left-wing advocacy, Palestinian rights movement. She is part and parcel of an organization of claptrap spewing slacktivist fuckwads who gave Netanyahu everything he wanted. Everything. They mean UNRWA? UNRWA's another problem in its own right. And she's not talking about UNRWA. She's talking about the Palestinian rights movement in the United States. Her groups. She's worried that they'll try and shut her down or her funding will dry up because if maybe the Biden administration was more open to the idea that, Hamas or IS in Gaza or some of these other groups, Islamic State, that those folks, they have subsidiary, secondary relationships with other organizations that may give money to Palestinian rights organizations. And the Democrats recognize that they're not all fighting for terrorists, even if the money comes through some shaky means. And so they're willing to look the other way for some of it. And she knows that's what feathers her fucking nest. When in reality, she's being paid through a fucking Russian bank account in Cyprus. Support for Israel is largely bipartisan, but Republicans have led the charge in criticizing the broader pro-Palestinian movement. No, they haven't. Democrats were slow to call out the faux pro-Palestinian movement. And every time they tried to push back on anti-Semitism, these motherfuckers use that as an attack point instead of just going, and again, this whole support for Israel is largely bipartisan. Yeah, it's right to exist, but how it does it matters. That's why who's in the White House matters. But the problem is, if anything, if this woman is honest in any of the shit she's talking about, what she means is she thinks a Zionist is actually not a person who believes in a totally Jewish Israel, which is the lie that they tell everybody. She thinks, which is what they say is a Zionist. A Zionist is just anybody who thinks Israel should have the right to exist. That's what Biden means when he says it. That's what most people are talking about when they're a Zionist. They believe Israel has a right to exist. That's the phrase they use. And she doesn't. That's what this is about. So just fucking say so. A Republican-led House panel has sunk 3 Ivy League presidents over allegations of anti-Semitism around pro-Palestinian protests on their campuses. And last month, the House passed a bill that jeopardizes the tax-exempt status of any group the Treasury deems a terrorist-supporting organization. And that's what she's talking about because she knows where her money comes from. Which movement leaders fear will chill pro-Palestinian speech. Why? Why? You can't speak for free? Can't speak for free? How much does it cost to speak on behalf of the Palestinian people? I'm doing it right now. I was doing it all during the election. Didn't cost me a fucking dime. What you mean is organized groups that are paid for by foreign money. Zionists are not colonists, period. Shove off, Danny. It's silly. Because there are Arabs that live in Israel that want Israel to exist. Never mind. The point is, Palestine is in many ways the canary in the coal mine, said Sandra Jamari, executive director of Adala Justice Project. And so our organizations are under more threats because what all those authoritarian forces would love to do is shut down any dissent in the country. Yeah. Did you ever hear a peep from the Biden administration or Harris about shutting down any of these groups? They might have pushed back, might have argued back and forth. Hold on one second. Bye, Mindy. Yeah. Did you hear them doing that? You hear Trump talking about it all the time, pulling them out. Talking about them as if they're terrorists. I don't think any of us worried about people who are advocating for or cared about the fucking Palestinian people ever. The Democratic Party's been doing the hard work of shepherding us through to a two-state solution forever. Hal, as someone who delivers workshops on colonizing Israel as a colonizing hell, yeah, Gen X Gen, I have to say it sounds like you're arguing for your business model in that regard. So no. A spokesperson for Trump's transition did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump himself is a staunch ally of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a number of pro-Israel backers. Yeah, and by the way, not just pro-Israel. They want Gaza and the West Bank and arguably the Golan Heights and part of what's whatever they can take of Syria to become Israel. It's well beyond just being pro-Israel. That's what happens when you use a weak word like this about what Trump is. Including mega donor Miriam Adelson, an Israeli billionaire who Trump bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She's not as, I mean, she's an American. Again, this is a weird thing because it sounds like she made her billions over there. Sheldon Adelson is her husband. He died and left her the money. During his 2024 campaign, Trump called Senate Majority, Chuck Schumer, who is Jewish, a proud member of Hamas, and refused to shake the hand of, he also called him a Palestinian. I don't know why they leave that part out. That's what we were talking about before. I'm pretty sure you will see real concern around legislative effect to silence speech, control demonstrations, and actions of that sort, said James Zogby, founder of the Arab American Institute, Democratic National Committee, veteran currently running to be its vice chair. We don't know how off the rails Trump will go in exceeding Netanyahu's plans. Yes, we fucking do. Don't pretend you didn't know. Of course we knew. He fucking said so. Again, the people that act like this was a fucking coin flip are the problem. From the onset of the war, pro-Palestinian groups across the U.S., and again, in quotes, hit Democrats hard. Yeah, I think, why don't you just say from the onset of the war, pro-Palestinian groups across the U.S. Gave Republicans a pass. Why don't you say that too? They launched the uncommitted campaign against Joe Biden in the primary, marched en masse in the Democratic National Convention. It wasn't that big of a mass, and there was a lot of competing interests, and it was a lot more scattershot in August. We were there. We saw them. It was like 100 different groups kind of like sending one person. In August, and often held out on full endorsements of Harris, even as they acknowledged Trump would likely be worse for their cause. Yeah, who cares? Ultimately, it matters. Honestly, it matters. I don't care who you acknowledge, and I don't care who you endorse. They didn't vote either. That strategy seemed to be working. Some of the less progressive stars, AOC, Senator Bernie Sanders, have been outspoken critics of Netanyahu. When he addressed a joint session of Congress this summer, dozens of Democrats, including Harris, refused to show up. And last month, that was when Netanyahu came. Last month, 17 Democratic and 2 independent senators backed a resolution brought by Sanders to block weapons transfers to Israel, even as the chamber at large slapped it down by overwhelming margins. And they were allowed to do that because they knew it would pass without their votes. But the movement also ultimately undermined Harris's campaign. She lost Michigan, a state with about 400,000 Arab Americans, including Arab-majority Dearborn. Now, here's the problem that I have. There is racism in assuming that all Arabs and all Muslims are a monolith in terms of voting. And the Palestinians, being in large part Shia, especially after Hamas killed everybody and took over after the last election, when a good portion of the rest of the, Saudi Arabia, up until recently, the controlling party in Syria, a lot of the surrounding country, Jordan, are all Sunni. And those folks have been at war with each other. They've been, beefing about this shit for centuries. Why would I believe that every Arab in Michigan are they all Sunni? Are they all Shia? Do they all have the same reason for not wanting Harris to win and Trump to win instead? I mean, being like kind of ignorant and having misplaced indignity only goes so far. You get a vote block change that big, that means a bunch of these folks want the other side wiped out. No, and the idea that Hamas is Sunni when IS is there and that they're funded by Iran is Shia. It's the same thing with them, supporting the Alawite president of Syria. But you get my point though. There's the crisscross right there. The best you can hope for is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But as soon as that breaks down, they're at each other's throats about this stuff, and it's terrible. But now they're saying they're fucked. Well, that's exactly it. And by the way, don't don't think for a second that I am criticizing people's genuine concern about either side of this issue. Your belief in the control of Hamas and other groups over the Palestinian people, their innocence in this situation, the fact that they're not just blockaded by Israel but by Egypt as well, that they have political disagreements between the PA and Hamas, separating the West Bank and Gaza so strongly that you might have had to have a 3-state solution by the end of all this stuff. That's all genuine. And I trust that most of the people in my chat room actually give a shit about that. We'll get to New Orleans in a second, Artis. Right? You're not who I'm talking about, because I have a feeling that most people that are in my chat room on the regular, more than likely, voted, made the adult choice. You know our motto around here: if you're confronted with a choice you think is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. It's not difficult. Be an adult and act like lives matter, because they do. And you make the better of the two choices that will have a chance of doing something, and then you work with that to move the ball down the field. That's why I call these assholes faux-gressives. They don't like progress. They don't want stuff moving forward. And so I assume, and maybe that's my mistake and a couple of people, then I'm sure we have trolls and it doesn't matter, but I assume that most of you who I'm talking to right now care about that shit. I'm speaking to a particular group of people who are, by my estimation, pretending that they are now flabbergasted that, oh dear, what will we do now that Trump's in? Because I don't think masses of coordinated people are that fucking stupid to that extent. And since we had the Russians literally financing Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter groups, and then setting up events via Facebook at the same street corner, so hopefully they would fight, when it didn't happen organically, when Americans didn't decide that street corner, that time of day, so that they could get into this fight, that foreign influence made people who had a disagreement, they would put them in a situation where they could cause a powder keg in an attempt to destabilize society and put us at each other's throats. Same shit. The people that organized this uncommitted nonsense and the people that stood by and let it happen, who are fucking stupid, are responsible for what Donald Trump is going to allow Netanyahu to do. He's going to take the reins off. And we all saw it coming. And if you cared about a two-state solution, of course you wanted Harris to win, even if you didn't think she went far enough down the road for you. Of course it was the obvious and genuine path. So the idea that you would flip a coin or go, maybe he's going to be better, I don't know. I just find it difficult to believe that people are that fucking stupid. And so I will, to give them more credit, I will just say that they are nefarious and grotesque. Do faux-aggressives just want eternal chaos? No, I think some of them are just posers. Think the feminist guy at the party who turns out to be a roofying date rapist. It's a good way to get close to the target by speaking the jargon. Sometimes faux-aggressives are like that. They see an easy target, and all you got to use is the right words, and they don't kick the tires on your ideas. See if you really care. Does that make sense? Yeah. So some self-criticism is due. This is Ogby talking again. Man, just tiptoe around this. Is due to in the pro-Palestinian movement, again in air quotes, because they boxed themselves into a corner following the convention by not enabling themselves to support Harris. Again, is it just a big dumb accident, and their just hearts were bigger than their heads, and they just couldn't do it? They just were overwhelmed with passion about this idea, or were they just fucking lying? And each one of them brought a gullible dickhead next to them to pad their numbers. Ugh. Uncommitted, for example, said in September that Harris's unwillingness to shift on unconditional weapons policy, and again, that's not true. They had conditions the whole way. That's a lie. Both Biden and Harris both put conditions on weapons that were going to Israel, what they could use. Biden had shut down certain kinds of bombs that they thought were too big for an area that densely populated. Harris wanted to extend that and go farther. So it wasn't unconditional. It just wasn't. That word is a lie. You can argue that they didn't go far enough, that there should have been more conditions. Or you can even argue, if you want, that there should be a complete cutoff. That's still an argument. And I hear you on that. But that's a lie. And that's this asshole letting himself off the hook. Unconditional weapons policy. Hold on. So, this is rather large. Hold on. Deborah. Does Al know about the well-organized peaceful protests with lawyers, scholars, and speakers in D.C. on January 3rd and 5th? It's to get Dem congressionals not to certify Donald because of his automatically and constitutionally disqualified under 14. Yes, I do know about it. I hope it wins, but nothing I do or say is going to affect its outcome. So I'm going to focus on the weak points in their arguments and the weak points in our arguments so that we are better prepared to deal with whatever shit they throw at people who are downstream from this stuff. That's just me. I'm busy working on an online bill for California and New York, so we can build up like a protection around certain vulnerable people in the country. So, because he will have a bunch more power if he gets in. Again, if that happens, what a miracle! Great, but if he does, we're going to have to work on stuff, defenses, and I would rather focus on that. I think I can be more valid there. So. There you go. And so uncommitted, for example, unwillingness to shift on unconditional weapons policy or to even make a clear campaign statement in support of upholding existing U.S. and international human rights law has made it impossible for us to endorse her. No, they did multiple times. She made multiple statements, and so did Biden, about upholding U.S. and international human rights law. These folks just simply thought that Israel had no right to attack into Palestinian territory after the Palestinians and Hamas attacked into Israel. It's the same shit we hear about Ukraine all the time from the Vatniks and the tankies who are like, Ukraine firing back into Russia, how dare they? It's going to start World War III, and that might upset my fucking latte. I really regret Harris and the Harris campaign and the leaders of the Democrats didn't listen to us. Get the fuck out of here, said Elbed when asked if she had any regrets in the movement. Yeah, it's always somebody else's fucking fault. Harris didn't lose, and this is Elbed. Harris didn't just lose because the uncommitted or because she was unwilling to shift on Biden's Gaza policy, but she could have really possibly won if she turned the page away from Biden's policy and brought in those voters, especially young voters who are withholding their vote or decided to do a protest vote in general election because of that policy. To what? Because they didn't. Again, this is the TYT thing. This is the TYT thing. That's what it is. This is TYT, folks. If we don't get everything, nobody gets anything. If we don't get everything, nobody gets anything. It's hideous. It is inhumane. It is immature. It is conduct unbecoming of decent human beings. And it is also them excusing themselves away from the damage their tactic did. It's fucked up is what it is. Even a few of the people earlier who were worried that Israel's a Zionist country, or they want to make that argument that Zionism, is the existence of Israel, and because it's a colonizing state, it shouldn't exist. Well, then great. Can we remove all the Lakota Sioux names from the Wisconsin and, largely where's the Wisconsin, does it bleed into the Dakotas a little bit? Remove all those names because they colonized the area of the Pawnee. You can take all the Comanche names away from stuff in like Texas and Arizona because they colonized the other tribes once they got horses from the Spanish and were able to use them as weapons of war. Should we take away like any native reses that exist now, assuming that those are the winning tribes? Right? And winners always write the history of it, right? Yeah, Israel, yes, I would argue, I agree. I would argue that Israel is a better example of decolonization. They had been colonized and driven out. It's a horrible equivalency. Stop while you're ahead. No, it isn't. And the equivalency isn't about the thing itself. It is about people's bullshitting about it. The weaponizing of language like this. It does overlap, and the weird pick and choose part is very weird. And if you want to check my work, see how many of these same motherfuckers gave a goddamn about Sudan over the last year and a half. What, 5 times the death toll, 1/200th the news coverage? Why? Because there's no Jews on either side? There's no Zelensky, right? I don't know. It's just 2 groups of black people. They're just killing each other. Who gives a fuck who's right? That's the same people. Where are they? Where are they? Why didn't they stand outside of Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu was there? When they were getting far more from the sitting people in the White House than they would ever get from Trump, and they should have been aware of it. Why did they even play with that fire? And then know that they would have an ethic to work with amongst these people. It's childish. These people are infants. And here's the thing. And then I'll end on this, and we'll get a clip in. And then I got a hard out at 5 o'clock because it's New Year's Day, and I'm gonna have dinner with my girlfriend. Because the man's got to eat, especially after he's had 8 flights in 5 days. I will not stand by while assholes like the people who ran Zelensky's Jewish. That was my point, Sarasota, sorry. I will not stand by while the people in my chat who give who really do care about these things have their genuine political will usurped by a bunch of useless, infantile dickheads who hijack real difficult discussions, turn them into, crayon drawings that barely deserve to be hung on a fucking refrigerator. I won't stand by while they do that. I'm going to castigate those fucking people because these are difficult, important issues that deal with real lives. And these motherfuckers, like with this, I'm going to take my ball and go home mentality about this stuff, are doing more damage than good. And I've said this a few times, and I think I become more aware of it over the last year with a couple of people that are allegedly on our side of the aisle. And let me tell you something. It is one thing to care about an issue. It is one thing to believe in something passionately and want to work towards its end or its beginning. It's another thing to communicate that idea to other people or to marshal a response. Those are 2 separate things. And we have a lot online and in the, I would say in the sort of faux-aggressive media landscape. A lot of posers who for a long time have talked the talk by just using the right jargon. But ultimately, And I'll give a break to the ones that care. I'm not even going to talk about the bullshitters like TYT at this point. I'm going to talk about the ones who actually give a goddamn. The ones who really care. If you really care about an issue, I mean you really care about it, you have a responsibility, I believe, to do a personal inventory about whether or not you are a good communicator of that issue. Whether you will contribute to its betterment by throwing in your 2 cents or not on a big scale. Chat rooms are chat rooms, but I'm talking about starting a blog, starting a podcast, writing articles, having a Substack, all that kind of shit, like digging in and trying to become one of the players in this. And I'm not talking about the bullshit. I'm talking about people who actually give a fuck, who maybe, just maybe, are so embedded in the jargon or so singular a focus with their fucking horse blinders on that they are going to do nothing but scream at the choir the rest of their lives and undermine any true broadening of that idea or moving it forward with people who don't understand it, who aren't already on the team, who don't already wear the same fucking t-shirt when you show up at the meeting with them. Who gives a fuck if you can convince that person? That person is already convinced. And when you show up at these things, and that's why I call bullshit on these assholes, with the sign that only people, it's more like a gang symbol than it is an expression. And then you're shocked when the world doesn't take your message in. You're shocked when they take you at your word and go, oh, fuck, I'm not going to vote for her. I guess I'll vote for the guy who, what's the worst he could do? Everything? Maybe, just maybe, there are a bunch of people who have the right to say whatever they want, but just suck at it, that need to shut the fuck up and step aside and go, you know what? I'm too passionate about this issue. I can't articulate myself clearly right now. I just need to be righteously indignant about this, but I'm not going to win anybody over to our side. So you guys have fun. Just maybe. It's a thought. Think about it. Because I believe that to be a progressive, you need progress. And sometimes that progress is, oh dear God, incremental. Oh no. What thing of worth in this world is happens incrementally besides good health, an exercise plan, a diet plan, the raising of children, the learning of a foreign language or a skill of any sort. Everything that sticks is incremental. Everything. Thank you, JD Christie. Happy New Year to you too. Ooh, I'm on fire about this thing. You guys have seen this happen before. It's like when people are having these articles on Bloomberg about how the Chinese fucking economy is going to recover. And I'm like, what the fuck? Same thing. For all those that are upset with what I'm saying right now, let me let you know that this is me, and I want you to hear me. This is me angry that somebody has weaponized your empathy. They have taken your righteous belief in a cause, your empathy about other human beings, and they have commodified it and sold it, and they don't fucking believe it. And I intend to take it back. And if I see anybody, these fucking all or nothing dickheads, not only because they're anti-progress, specifically anti-progress, but because they're lying. I don't buy it. I don't think they're on your side. I don't think those student groups were really giving a shit about Palestine. I think they just had a bone to pick on some other level, and this was a good ride along for it. It was an opportunistic infection that got in the cut that you got. The slash was what happened when people in a very difficult issue about Israel and Gaza comes up again. That creates a cut, and these motherfuckers move in and infect the cut. Other than that, I have no opinion. But I love you guys. Now, the shit, like I got to a whole first hour and we didn't even cover a clip. And that's, I'm fine with that. Kind of fine with that some days. You know what I mean? Because some of these stories require a little more pacing, as it were. The guy in NOLA, there are a couple of things. One is generalized belief that he did not act alone. They always, let's just say, first of all, they always have to assume that in every situation. The same thing, I'm a Muslim hater. Really? Peacorn, that's the best you could do? That's adorable. Which kind? Did I just hate them all? Oh, great. Then I only I only hate the half that half of them don't. What are you talking about? It's like saying I'm a Christian hater because I don't like evangelicals because I consider them full of shit. Yeah, the Cybertruck thing could possibly be linked to it. I wouldn't doubt that. I don't know why it would be New Orleans and whatever. And it might just be target availability because, quite frankly, they can Trump's other properties you can shield off, right? Like Bedminster and his other things, but the Trump hotel and like condo tower here, because he can't get a gambling license because nobody fucking trusts him for good reason. It's just a living quarters. So it makes sense that would it's just right off the road. You can just pull right in. There's no like kind of gated entrance to it. They probably will get one after this, which would be fucking hilarious because it will drive the value of the property down, whatever. Anyways, the death toll in New Orleans is at 15 now. It was originally 10, and they said 30 injured. Here, I'll show you the kind of generalized, up-to-date stuff here, whatever. Suspect may have had help. Officials say ISIS flag found on vehicle. He'd attached it to the back with one of those, like, Trump flag poles, right? Trump suggested the suspect was an immigrant. He's not. He was born in the United States. He's from Texas. Is Biden doing a live statement about this? Is that what he's going to address? Shall we jump in and see? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pop this in here. And, yeah, let's see. I'll find this one. Yeah, so.
I want to bring in Scott McFarland back.
Hold on, let me scroll this in, and we'll get to, he goes, that's just the quote. Sorry, one second. I'm going to find his live. It's the New Orleans attack. Okay, here it is.
The terrible assault on us.
Hold on. So this is, ding, 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 ding. He's at Camp David, okay, for the holiday. I'll scroll through here. This is relatively new. So it just started here, okay. Get back up here, you silly. Blink.
Good evening. I know I can speak for all Americans when I say our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who are injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people.
And in case people aren't caught up, the guy crashed his truck into a bunch of people. He got out, he started shooting, he shot 2 police officers. They returned fire, or the other police around them. Two officers were, they're in stable condition, but they were shot by him, and he was gunned down at that point. They found a pipe bomb in his truck, and he had an ISIS flag on his truck. That's the current details. He's from Texas. He's allegedly Muslim and allegedly a sympathizer of ISIS. Again, what does that even mean to the rest of the Muslim faith, for example? Do they have to claim everybody who says they're a part of it? But whatever. Okay.
Thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, for working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, and whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, there you go. The law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators.
Can I just say that he noticed that his teleprompter went down, went to the page in his speech, and that's why he said, well, there you go, it's obvious. Anybody who's ever used a teleprompter, he's like, there you go. He's telling the guy who's running the teleprompter who fixed it, like, that it's basically fine. These little things matter. Trump would bitch about his broken teleprompter and kvetch about it and then randomly wander off into some dipshittery.
We have nothing additional to report at this time. The investigation is continuing to be active, and no one should jump to conclusions. I've directed my Attorney General, the FBI Director, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the head of the National Counterterrorism Center, and the intelligence community to work on this intensively until we have a full and complete information. And once we have that information, I will share that information as soon as we can confirm it. Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a cyber truck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. I directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and to make sure there's no remaining threat to the American people. And we'll support the people of New Orleans as they begin the hard work of healing. New Orleans is a place unlike any other place in the world. It's a city full of charm and joy. So many people around the world love New Orleans because of its history, its culture, and above all, its people. So I know, while this person committed a terrible assault on the city, the spirit of our New Orleans will never, never, never be defeated. It always will shine forth. We've seen that time and time again throughout its history, and I know we'll see it again. in the days and weeks ahead. May God bless the people of New Orleans. May God bless our police and our first responders. May God protect our troops, and we'll keep you fully contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Will you visit New Orleans?
It's like, I don't need this shit anymore. Like, if you suck to talk to Trump, yeah, what? You think he wants Trump's advice on this? Trump just said it was an act of pure evil, said the guy was an immigrant, which he isn't. And that the truck, the big sales point on the right-wing media is that the truck crossed the border that he rented, crossed the border from Mexico into the United States like 2 days ago. It didn't. It crossed over in November because people rent trucks in Mexico or in Texas and drive to Mexico and back all the time. It's a rental. So anyways, the guy was an American citizen. Yeah. Hal check live updates on NBC. Okay. But the point is, again, I don't feel the need to chase a lot of these stories as they happen. We will find out when we find out. And I can't think of anything in this situation where what this guy did and why he did it would change my feelings towards my fellow citizens, a foreign threat that exists or does not exist. It was an electric truck. Susie, that's the one outside of, oh, you mean the rental? You think so? Was it an electric truck too? Is that another piece of detail? Is this a Musk coordinated thing? Are they trying to do a wink and a nod? Yeah, trucks don't kill people. People kill people. Exactly. Yeah, he was an Army vet. I mean, they're going to look, understand this. Look, Republicans are going to look for every possible reason they can use to vilify anybody that this guy, this individual, who may be working with a couple of other people, the affiliations he claims to burden the other people that are tacitly related to that, being every other Muslim in the country, I suppose, and around the world, to paint them with a broad brush. I am with them and they are with me. So what I do is in their name, whether they like it or not. And you know, and in the United States, you can kind of come out against it, and in Canada and Europe and you know, a few other places. But there are also places where it was an EV2. That's curious. And it may be because they didn't want to stop at a gas station. They could charge it at home and not have to go. That'll be another tactical thing we'll see more of over time. But it may be that they just felt like they could get a, you know, that acts as cover for whatever their personal grievance is. And I've always said that, like, this goes for school shootings and workplace shootings and anybody that has lost someone to illness or war or any of these things, that it is, many people go through these things, but they don't take up arms against random civilians or targets that they may pick out in some cases as being exemplary of that. But the people that do it as an act of ego. They hold their own self-importance higher than that of the person they are killing or persons. This guy in this truck, the fact that he's Muslim or believed he was in line with ISIS or he'd been radicalized, none of that fucking matters. What matters is that guy thought that he deserved to live more than other people did, and that he deserved to live longer than they did, even if he died that day. That's it. Yeah, does that make sense? There's always an act of ego in this shit. Hear me, listen to me. I am more important in this situation than somebody walking down the fucking street sipping one of those like alcohol Slurpees they sell all over the place in New Orleans for New Year's. There's a lot of people are off his meds, Olga. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people go off their meds. A lot of people have difficult thoughts and all this kind of stuff, and they don't take it out on others on that scale. And a good portion of that sometimes is that they believe they have the right to. You know, it's often been said that, like, money is the root of all evil, but the phrase itself was love of money is the root of all evil. That's the actual original quote, because you care about it more than you care about what you buy with it or what it's for. But also, I want to say, I hate quoting Freud, and I'm fairly certain this was him. It might have been Jung, but I think Freud said it. And Freud was a dickhead who didn't cure anybody, but, even a broken clock. And Freud said, allegedly, that attention is the root of all evil, essentially. That people who seek attention for attention's sake, that want you to pay attention to them, more, and they value them getting attention more than any other factor. That is the act of violence. That's where the violence starts. Whether it's domestic violence, workplace violence, any of that shit, right? He was a cokehead. Is that the idea? Well, again, coke is an ego drug. That's what it does to a certain section of the people's brains, right? It does sound like Trump. That's exactly right. Let's see. Yeah, this was probably the other funny part of this story, if there can be anything amusing about it. And it's not about the story, it's about the people talking about it. And this is a great, like a good illustration of the point I was making earlier. This MTG blames New Orleans attack on wide open border as suspects ID'd in Texas as Texas military vet. Okay, well, let's say there's a good point to having a well-managed border like we would have had in the border bill, where you check people and you make sure that criminals and terrorists aren't getting through, but people who have legit asylum claims are heard, but people can't game the asylum claim system or game the asylum system to get ahead of other people who genuinely deserve it, so they fill up how many we can, actually take, right? There's a real conversation about that. You really care about that issue, right? And then this shithead rolls in and starts spouting this stuff about the border's wide open. And you're like, will you shut the fuck up, please? The adults are talking. We're trying to solve an actual problem. And worst of all, you're turning off so many people because they're like, the fuck am I? Who the fuck is this dumbass? And nobody wants an open border. And if they do, fuck them and fuck this. I'm going to go watch the game. That's what happens. KJ Dog, congratulations. You have 31 years sober from alcohol today. Awesome. I have, 55 years sober from alcohol last September 25th, because I've never drank it in my life. Here's another good example. All the people get mad if I start talking about how the weed is natural crowd don't recognize that the weed that's being sold, that's being, created in laboratories, that's being sold in a lot of dispensaries, is not something that naturally came out of God's green earth any more than bananas were originally yellow and, potatoes were this big and you could get seedless watermelon, right? There's about as natural as seedless watermelon, right? And again, it's fine, but don't talk to me about natural and smoke. Nothing. It's never smoked. It's never natural to breathe smoke of any kind. You've overcome it. It's the same thing with spicy food. Human beings are curious creatures. We're kind of amazing. We take toxins that are in plants that are literally poison. They're a warning. Stop eating this. Your asshole's going to hurt later. And we're like, you know what? I think a little bit of Tabasco on that's fine. I don't mind a little asshole burning later on. It might be a little pleasant. Bloop, bloop. Right? You can do that, but nobody pretends like Tabasco's like nobody eats habaneros like apples, right? See what I mean? What's your definition of natural? If you're in a fire, you're going to inhale smoke. Yeah, it's not natural to stand there in the fire, Ninka Crinkles, for any length of time. It is completely unnatural to fight off your natural instinct to run from the fire and jump into the river. Even lemons aren't completely natural. I agree. There's a lot of organic fruits, for example, that are absolutely, modified by humans over decades and decades, right? And that's fine. But nobody claims like organic just means we're growing it without pesticides or, under natural conditions. But it doesn't mean that what you're actually growing is natural, right? That it would have happened by its own evolution. It just frankly wouldn't have. It's like the Mitch Hedberg apple core joke. Oh, like, I don't know that one. I apologize. I know most of his stuff, but I'm not aware of that one. Yeah, hybrids, all that kind of stuff. Exactly. Humans did those. And it's fine. You can say that. But you can't pretend it was like, it came out of the earth. God put it that way. So, you know, fuck me. The fruit in the Bible was probably not an apple. It was a pomegranate anyways. Ugh. All right. All right. There were apples in the garden. Who cares? All right. Now, it's all an allegory. God gave it to us, Hal. Sure he did, Water Goddess. It gave it to you just like it gave you the store with the... God created those green plus signs outside the building as well. It's fine. Just don't bullshit us. Right? Seriously. It's like wearing, Air Jordans and calling it barefoot. Just say that it's part of human evolution that we create better shoes all the time. And sometimes they give you back problems, and so you switch shoes. What's wrong with that? So anyways, that's another thing. And I'm glad, Chick Ken, I'm glad it works for you. That's kind of the point. And that is why, as somebody who has never smoked pot and never will, kids, I advocated for the legalization of pot in California with Danny Glover and Melissa Etheridge. And I think even Mar showed up at one of the events that we did. And I was one of the people that I was like, let me talk, because I don't sound like I just don't want to get busted for having it on me. Does that make sense? I think I'm a better advocate for the legalization of pot than somebody who uses it, because people can write off, if somebody uses it, people can write off your argument and go, well, you just want to use without getting fucking busted, dummy, right? But I'm like, no, it should just be your right. As long as you're not harming anybody and you're not driving impaired. But I also think there should be labeling just like any other, modified plant that we consume, right? That's okay. This gets into that area where you got to be willing to talk about the gray areas, and you can't just be like, no, if you say anything bad about it, you're on the side of the people who want to take it away. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I can have a complex conversation about it. This might, you know what? And it might be just that this might be new to some of you guys. Nuanced, complex conversations. You know what? I just realized how rare they are in modern discourse. I feel bad. I don't want you guys to feel like I've been blaming you for your some maybe what would I guess be habitual reactions to things, because people are having these fucking crayon and hammer arguments like ding scritch scritch ding scritch scritch, right? You should be able to talk about the whole thing. Otherwise, there is no difference between us and her. Excuse me, I would like to be a dumbass for a moment. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say something fucking stupid and then show a picture of somebody's junk. Sorry, did somebody... You're that white guy with that one pot-smoking friend. Wow, thanks, Rob. A, what the fuck does that mean? Secondly, you think I only have one pot-smoking friend? I'm a comedian. Are you fucking nuts? I'm the only one in my friends group that doesn't smoke. No, I think I have one other friend who doesn't. But he drinks socially. He'll have wine occasionally or something like that. I'm the only, what do you mean the one? It's the other way around. I'm other people's one non-pot smoking friend. So fuck off with that nonsense. What the shit? I know a ton of stoners, and I happen to love them. You fucking, I swear to God, don't you get on my bad side. I know some people who are like baked more than I would like to see them baked. And I can't stop telling him I love him when I see him. We barely talk about anything else. Doug Pinnick smokes weed all the time, and every time I see him, we barely get into conversations about any other stuff because I'm so busy telling him how much I've missed him and how much I love him. So get the fuck out of here with your petty little judgment shit. They don't remember the next day. Well, I don't. You know what? You know what, Big Steph fan? You know what? That's okay. I don't mind that they won't remember the next day. You know why? Because I'll tell them again. Because I love them that much. I'll tell them again. Dude, did you... I can't remember. Dude, I was fucking baked yesterday. Did you say you love me? Yeah, I fucking said I love you. I love you. You're my friend. I'm glad you're alive. I fucking love you. See how hard that is? It isn't. I would enjoy cookies more. No, I would not. Grow your own herbs. I'm not smoking basil, Dr. Don. Don't try to drag me down into your personal hell. Look how great Willie Nelson is. Absolutely. And look how long Jimmy Carter lived. He didn't smoke weed, so relax. It's okay. God damn, it's not a sports team. Hell is better than everyone. I don't know. I'm just already weird. I don't need any help from substances to be weird. I'm plenty weird. I mean, keep in mind, wait, hold on. Side story time. Gather around, kids. That you guys are aware I almost died of a drug overdose when I was 5 years old. So most of you motherfuckers are lightweights compared to me. Okay. My sister has a learning disability, and with it came a nervous disorder when she was young that caused her to rock back and forth and her hands to shake. And so they, in the 1970s, put her on a pharmaceutical grade of PCP that they would give her these small little pills, and she would have half of one every 3 days to help with her shaking, and it worked. It was like slow release, and they tasted like mint, and I ate 12 of them, and I was in a coma for 5 days. Take that. Deal with that. Hell's an Oxy kid. They didn't have Oxy when I was a kid. True story. So yeah. Angel dust. I mean, it wasn't in dust form. It was in a pill form. It's basically like an animal tranquilizer kind of thing. But yeah. I walked into my parents' room after I'd eaten them because the world was bleeding and folding in on itself. And I put my hand on their bed and I fell down. But my hand did not let go of the bed and it dislocated my arm. I dislocated my right shoulder hanging on their brass bed, just holding on to the thing because I fainted. I passed out, but my hand would not ungrip. And my mom popped it back in as they drove me to the hospital into the city. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you for finally getting it. They still don't make medicine bottles childproof. No, I just was never a child. Right? So, anyways, again, I'm done. I think I fucking pegged the meter and I don't need to go back. And the only time I even tasted alcohol was when I got my ear pierced for the third time when I was 12. My dad was like, it'll hurt. Here's a shot of whiskey or whatever. And I went, like it never went down my throat. I poured it into my mouth and I was like, oh, I was like, it's like I was in big, I have a milkshake or something. You know, that's the only time I've ever tasted it. No, well, other times I've tasted it because other people tried to spike my drinks in high school and at parties like when I was in my early 20s. Everybody was always trying to sneak a drink into me, which is fucking gross. But yeah. What did I see during that time? I didn't see, well, okay. My, the only memory I have of it was I had an out-of-body experience while I was in the bed and in the hospital. And like I was out, but I could see myself in the bed. And then this doctor came in who was not my doctor. It was not one of the other doctors. And stood there looking at me and shook his head and made some comment. It was a little watery, but some comment like, these fucking rednecks, like this, like it was just something about being, you know, poor white trash that now look at their kid is in a fucking coma because these stupid assholes, right? And my doctor there was a woman, so it wasn't the woman who was working, you know, on me. And then and so everybody was like, no, your doctor's a woman. That didn't happen, because apparently I talked about it afterwards. And then later on we found out that it was one of the other doctors on the floor. He came in. He had done a chart check on me, and so he had checked the chart and then walked out. And so nobody knew. The only person who knew he'd went in there besides him was me. So that would be the only thing. That would be the one situation that was odd of that particular thing. Appalachian Emergency Room at SNL, right? Yeah, my mom is badass. My mom, I dislocated both my shoulders once when I was a baby. I was sitting on her lap in a car and she was doing this with me. She's just like shaking my arms back and forth and I'm sitting on her lap because it's the 70s and there's no seat belt, and she's just in the back seat doing like this, and we hit a bump and she went the opposite way that my arms were going, and both of them popped out. Like we were going left, right, left, right, left, like that. It just went bump like that. And both my arms were like, and she was like, oh, damn it. And she just went and just popped them back in. Yeah. Anyways, weren't we talking about some blonde dipshit from Georgia before I started going all, yeah. How's Jessica White? What? Hold on. How are you kin to Jessica White? No. I told you I've never done Oxy, and I've never been around it being done. I've lost people to it, but I have never done it myself. Nor will I. Now back to this dipshit. In response to the devastating vehicle ramming attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene insinuated that the Biden administration's border policy was to blame, all of which appeared now to have jumped the gun. Terrorist attack in NOLA similar to the one in German Christmas market. Green told Exxon, which is left 10 dead. What did we expect would happen with wide open borders and millions of gotaways? So I don't know. I wouldn't have expected. You know what? When you put it in that case, I would not have expected a military vet who was born and raised in Texas to have done it. Sure, shocking. The problem is no one trusts the FBI. No one trusts the FBI under the current leadership. He stepped down, dumb fuck. So everyone is questioning every detail they can find on their own, motherfucker. What an absolute disaster America is in. Why? Why does somebody explain this shit to me? Why do the actions of random psycho fuckheads like this guy, who clearly had legal access to a gun until he was not using it legally, and it was able to rent a car because nobody goes, you're not going to drive this into a Christmas parade, are you? What part of America's ethical failing is what this fucking dude who decided that ISIS wanted him to kill a bunch of people in New Orleans drinking for New Year's? What was his attack on? The Gregorian calendar? So weird. Yeah, because Putin said so. That's arguably sure. But I don't understand how People do this all the time. Man, America, fucking America. Am I right? Okay. They had an ISIS guy walk into a church last year now in Turkey, in Istanbul, and killed a couple of people as an act of terror. He ended up killing 2 Muslims who were visiting. What does that say about Turkey? Nothing. Is ISIS's cover? Ah, yes, that's what it is. It's all part of the plan. Yeah, authorities, let's see, 42-year-old military veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar had an ISIS flag affixed to his truck used to carry out the massacre. They believe he may not have acted alone. However, Jabbar was a U.S. citizen born in Texas, casting doubt on Green's immediate suspicion the attack was enabled by weak border security. Is that what it did? Sorry, whoops, let me get to here. Is that what it did? It casted casting doubt on Green's immediate suspicion. Can you wussify language more? What are you talking about? Casting doubt. It's a fabrication. It's just paranoid delusion. It's not anywhere close to the facts. There's no casting doubt. Even if the dude is American, he went to Mexico recently and came back, it's still an American citizen attacking American citizens. Or random people that may or may not be American citizens. Shit, people visit the French Quarter from all over the world. I understand it's quite popular with people from France. Okay. It don't make no sense. Oh, so it does make sense. He's the nicest person I've ever known, said the woman who wishes to remain unidentified. I really don't know what happened. He was a good man. He takes care of his children and everything. Well, I mean, have you ever seen The Americans or even Stranger Things? Because, I mean, if that's what a good, like, terrorist cell, people in terror cells have to be good at that shit, right? Pretending that they're on your side, right? It's like saying, I can't believe that guy's an undercover cop. He totally was, he bought and sold drugs with me. Like, yeah, he kind of had to, because that's called gathering evidence. He took the drugs you sold him, and he took it to the FBI, turns it over, and then they catalog it, and then they give him baby laxative to pass out to some motherfucking people, so you think the sale was made, and then they give money to these things that's seized from other drug dealers, so it doesn't come out of taxpayer money, so they're just using drug dealer money to trick other drug dealers into thinking it's an ongoing drug. Yeah, he seemed totally friendly, I get it. You totally thought he was your buddy. Yeah, that's how it works, shithead. Man. So, and I had, wait, let's see this. I just complaining about something. Oh, that's nice. Hey, I'll bring up this clip. Apparently, this clip, everybody, has done really well for us. Those turds have words with this lady. And, you know, it's like the infighting clip that we did with Vivek and Ann Coulter and RFK and Elon Musk and all that stuff. Apparently, it's doing very well if you want to share it. We'll put the link in the chat. Hold on. Copy. I'm going to put it in there. If you guys could share it out or make a comment on the clip, it would really help us to raise awareness of the clips that we're making. Maybe, just saying. Okay. I'm trying to be better about that in the new year. Thank you, CSL, for pointing that out, by the way. And also our tribute to Jimmy Carter is doing quite well too. So that's nice. That's nice to see. Still having issues on what? Okay, YouTube's up, audio's good, everything like that. Okay, we're good. All right, rock solid. Now let me scroll down here. And no, you the man. The Jesus Christ, who the fuck? Part of me wants to jump into one of these clips, and part of me is like, you know what? Piss off. Oh my God, what the hell? Oh my God, shut up. Oh, what an asshole. Glenn's Secret Service story. How I brought Braveheart's sword into Mar-a-Lago. Another thing, when he decided to bring two weird weapons to use as props. William Wallace's sword from Braveheart in a World War II era rat with a bomb in its butt. Glenn tells the hilariously true story of how he got the items past Secret Service and in the process became a Secret Service legend that agents may talk about for generations. Oh my God. It's a replica, dum-dum. Oh God. I love when they get out over their skis. Can I say that on a personal level, it's so sad to me what happened to Mel Gibson. And by the way, you could see it coming a mile away. I've told this story before, but I don't know if you guys spotted this, but you could see his like weird Catholic bigotry in Lethal Weapon, where he gets upset because there's the girl who jumps from the balcony in the beginning of the movie. Maybe she wasn't in bed with a guy. Maybe she was in bed with another woman. And he goes, okay, disgusting, but okay. Why would you say disgusting? Why would that character say disgusting? It makes no sense. It's just odd to do that jab. That was the line that clearly Mel Gibson insisted on. And it's fucked up and odd. But I loved Braveheart as a movie. Yeah. I mean, I prefer Kingdom of Heaven these days because of the simplicity and the kindness of its message. And it's, it's another, pretty accurate from a historical standpoint. But a great, yeah. It wasn't an ad lib. It was, he insisted on putting it in there. Yeah, no man would say that. I mean, some would, but you would have to be like a fucking, I don't know, you'd have to be at Liberty University or something like that, and they're doing the play version, right? And you insist on throwing it in. Braveheart's a good movie. It's what I like it a lot. So Jeremy Piven's a pervert. Why? Because he's male? I don't know what you mean. William Wallace's sword is, what was that? Is in a museum in Scotland. Yeah, the real one. He means the one from the movie. He bought a movie replica of it because he's a dipshit. Now, don't get me wrong. I have movie replica swords myself. One that actually, it isn't a place where it could be go-to for home defense. Of your stand-up on the horse. Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you, Treva. That's largely where that came from, right? Finding out that I was Scottish. And in large part. So it just saddens me when people go off the fucking deep end. You're like, it's a shame. I mean, the funny thing is I was never a Ted Nugent fan. Like, Cat Scratch Fever was just kind of like cute to me, and there was nothing else he did. And even when he was in Damn Yankees, I was like, why do they need to pick that asshole? And so I wasn't like, he's fallen so far. Like, I don't really give a shit. And, you know what I mean? But then you find out, like, a couple of the people go QAnon or get really, trapped in like a internet spiral. Hello, Deborah. I'm glad you're Scottish. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Let me show you who's lost their fucking mind. And it's probably not... Oh, first of all, I think this is kind of funny. So, I'll just show you the net image of them. These are the kind of videos that are being made about Cenk right now. I'm just saying, on the internet. How Trump's victory destroyed Cenk Uyghur's mind. Right? Oh, and this prick. I just read this and I'm terrified. Every one of this motherfucker's, all of his clip art looks the same. What an asshole. Oh, there's a new AI robot. I can't wait to talk about it with Rob Glenn. Very excited. Let's see. Okay. I don't know why I'm scrolling. What am I doing? I wanted to look up specifically, if I may. this guy. I think that's his name. I think that's how you spell it. Billy. Yeah, that's how I spell it right. Okay. Whew. This dude. He's one of these guys who, like, you know how, like, Dennis Miller was funny and then started getting unfunny, and then 9/11 just broke him? There were a bunch of people on the sort of alleged, I don't know, left of center, kind of libertarian-esque liberals that were really just about business and personal development and all that kind of stuff, that I think COVID did the same thing. Like, let's see. Hold on.
Welcome, everybody.
Hold on. Okay, that's old. That's 2 months old. But anyways, this guy used to be like, he used to have some facial fat. He used to look relatively healthy. And, well, I'll show you. Like, here's what he used to look like not too long ago. And now he looks cooked. And I think a lot of it is just like not eating, too many speedy supplements, maybe, you know, like way too much caffeine, lack of sleep, any of that shit, you know what I mean? And just just gutted. And so, and he's also bought into this Bitcoin horse shit so big. Here you go. Elon stops Congress, Trump's secrets, TikTok goes supreme, Nvidia and sex robots, blah, blah, blah. Like it's all about this, like, AI Jesus has arrived. This changed everything. People care about themselves. This is all about, like, Mark Andreessen drops truth bombs on Rogan, Doge, Trump, BRICS, and yeah, and it's all like, and then the last one he had this asshole on, the what if alt history guy, what if all this, why the elites don't want you to know about GDP. And again, it's just my favorite thing lately from what I would call the I don't know if you call them, like, they're the flat earthers of history. They look at cycles of, like, borderline prehistoric man or the Roman age, communities and stuff, and then they act like it's got comparable analogs to modern society, and it just fucking doesn't. It just doesn't. Yeah, I saw the shotgun drone. We'll talk about that with Phil tomorrow. By the way, I hope in the morning Phil will be able to join us. I wasn't able to have him on this morning because I was traveling, so hopefully he'll be able to jump on. I'll do a morning show tomorrow. Tom Bilyeu. And again, this is one of these sites that used to just be about, like, like business and philosophy and self-advancement, and maybe, and I know of him because he had on one of the, like, some of the anti-aging people that I used to perform for from the Sens Foundation, all those folks. And so to me, I was like, oh, I'll check this out or whatever. And then I just watched this breakdown in some of these fucking people. And all of this, like, it now looks like this. His shit, like, here it is. Civil War is coming with is this Gadsad or whatever his fucking name is? And it will collapse the economy. This is making people dumber. Civil War will break out in the West. We should fear Trump. I don't know, like, we're so close to World War III, why Trump operates with a 10% chance he'll go to war, blah, blah, blah. And he means good in a good way. We should fear Trump as a good thing. I'm worried for America. Why everyone is leaving California, which they fucking aren't. They've had a net increase in population. An urgent warning from the West, from fucking Kermit the Frog. And we're so close to civil war. He does this one all the time. Like, there's a bunch of these motherfuckers. How evil takes over the world. Yada. Biden is finished. This is a sad moment, right? We can't let idiots take over, and he's not. And that's Dave Rubin. He's talking about Harris, not Trump. They want you naive. Do this before the crash. The big reset has begun. My urgent warning for Americans. You fucking lazy, weak, pusillanimous little tits. Just doom sprayers to the one. And it is a monetizable emotion. It's I guess it's a good grift if you could stand the whiff of it. I just can't. But he's one of these like historical flat earther guys who thinks we're in the 4th cycle or the 5th turning, or we're about to enter the thing. This is just like when the Romans, blah blah blah. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We're not a tribe that didn't have boats attacked by a tribe that did have boats. What the fuck are you talking about? We're not eating off lead plates, dummy. We're not all fucking dizzy with like spoiled wine. There's not a bad case of syphilis ripping through the populace, making everybody fucking stupid. And that's the problem I have with these guys. And by the way, most of his, let's see, I don't know if maybe he has some shorts in here. Let's see if the shorts can be telling. Hold on.
If you go get.
Okay, so this let's see what he says here. So this is a short entitled "Why Your Money Isn't Safe in the Bank."
Give the bank $10, and these are real numbers, they only have to keep 1 and they can loan out the other 9. So they have effectively just created money, because that knock-on effect goes on and on and on and on and on. So whatever that other person does with the $9 they just got loaned, the bank only has to keep 10%. You get into a system where, hey, we have this ability.
No, by the way, no, they don't. You can loan elements of it, but you can't. That's why you have to have capitalization requirements, and on your books, the money still exists in the bank. Except what you've loaned out. They don't loan out 90% of the money. They just don't keep it liquid in the fucking bank.
To put a ton of money into the system. That lubricates the wheels of the economy. I'm not saying that nothing good comes of it, but I am saying this is exactly how you get in these precarious situations where all of a sudden a bank can fail.
Yeah.
Okay. No. You don't. And, and by the way, can I just say, yes, dude. Oh, God. Where's... Precipitacious. Silicon Valley banks, I'd want FDIC. Here's the thing. This is from a video, I have no doubt, where he is singing the praises of crypto. He's like, crypto's where it's really fucking safe, because it just stays there as it is until it isn't, and it's as good as gold, even though it's fucking digital fabrication. And he's making this argument that the government can print money and that banks fail because of this system. No, banks have expanded and created immense wealth in the United States with this system. The debt burden and all this kind of stuff, the fact that Americans have statistically more debt than they ever had because there are more Americans and more Americans qualify for credit than they've ever had is just fucking stupid. And this idea, like, people are... He did this one thing recently about how the average American is underwater $7,200 with their car. It's worth more than they could sell it. Almost all you're underwater with your car the minute you roll it off the fucking lot. That's how a car works. They all depreciate. The fuck? Ugh. It's a car. All right. Anyway, so he was making the case that that crypto is safely magical, but banks can lend out your money, and so there's no money in the banks, and it creates a thing. Okay, crypto is exactly why these banks in Silicon Valley crashed. The ones that we lost. Remember when everybody fucking Glenn Beck's? How many videos did we do with that dumb motherfucker when those 2 Silicon Valley banks collapsed under their fucking bet on crypto? Remember that? Which arguably, if they hadn't loaned against it at such a high rate, they could have made it back once it turned around, because it's it's part of the greater fool theory. And this dude wants to be king of the greater fools. It's so fucking dumb.
And what we've watched happen over the last couple of years is that the banking sector has become so unstable that the
no, it hasn't.
Government steps in.
Dude, it's not 2008. What are you talking about? The banking sector isn't fucking unstable. Crypto-based banks that went heavy on crypto, ate shit and all went down. That's what this is about. Thank you very much, Smarty Pants. You're right. At 5 o'clock, I gotta change my shirt and get out the dough. Jesus, this is dumb.
to rescue those banks, right? The whole idea of too big to fail. But you're
No. The Silicon Valley banks they didn't step in because they're too big to fail. They made some of the depositors who shouldn't be on the hook for it right in some cases because it went beyond the FDIC thing and it could have a destabilizing effect on businesses in the area by no fault of the banks in the area. But it was because these assholes bet on crypto. This isn't 2008, motherfucker. We didn't do a wholesale repatching of Wells Fargo and Citibank again.
also getting to the point where it's too systemic to fail, where
No.
most banks are insolvent. Because if everybody went to the bank right now,
Oh, fuck you. There is not a bank in the world where it would even be a good business model to have all the cash on hand of all their depositors, especially since you could be on the road when shit happens. You're in the middle of fucking Wyoming, and you're from, I don't know, wherever the fuck he is, in Florida or Austin, Texas, wherever these dickheads congratulate themselves for a living, and you got $150,000 in your account. You're like, I have feared the crash. I want to shove this into my hotel mattress. So you go to this fucking, Wells Fargo branch in the middle of Wyoming and go, I'd like to take out $150,000, please. And they tell you to go pound sand. We're calling the cops. You can have it, but we'll write you a fucking check, dummy. We don't carry that much. We don't have that much cash in-house. And if you want it in cash, arrange for it. You can pick it up on Friday.
I said, I would like my money back.
They don't have
it. They don't have it. They literally can't give you their money back.
Yeah.
No. Yes, they can. They just can't give it to you in cash. Here's a check. This is good everywhere else. If you're going to bitch about fucking, dollar bills being, vapor fiat currency that's not tied to gold and all that kind of stuff. What's the fucking difference between that and a cashier's check? You won't take the cashier's check, but you will take it in a pallet of cash, which you're going to do what with if the world is collapsing? You're going to wipe your ass with dead presidents? God damn, this is dumb. And it's all over the place. You wonder why maggots all think like they've never done better in the last 3 years. Their 401ks, their retirement funds, their stocks have all gone up and stuff, and yet they're like, oh my God, things are terrible. It's because they listen to dickheads like that who are like, the end is nigh, and they're like, well, it's obviously it's not here yet, but I'm worried that it is. So I'm like, God damn. I'm going to dinner with Summer. Summer and I are going to dinner. So and it is. I got 4 minutes. You know what? If you guys are so worried about it, and I appreciate it, and it's a holiday day, I'm going to take off. And I will see you guys in the morning, because I'm going to do a morning show by hook or by crook tomorrow. And then our regular afternoon show on Thursday will be at 4 o'clock my time. Then after that, I get to drive to Los Angeles, because I have a show Friday night. I want to be able to do both my shows. So I'm going to bring my rig with me, do my show, and then after the show tomorrow, Friday night, I'll drive back, do radio here, and then I can be home for a little bit. Whew. So bless you guys. Thank you. And I really appreciate, especially the people who got a little spicy during my conversation in the first hour. I appreciate your passion and that you care. And I hope that you recognize that I am more interested in material successes on these issues than just feeling good about myself. So if I have to get you to get mad at me so that you're more effective in communicating what you care about, I'll take that hit. I don't mind. You can be pissed at me for as long as you want when I talk about shit like that. But if it helps, and you eventually recognize, oh, okay, I see what he's saying, I can wait. Because I know what I believe in, and I trust that you believe in it. And I think as long as we all are just aware that the only thing really to fear is the kidney, it will.
The kidney has a very
special place in the heart.
You know, I couldn't argue with that. I wouldn't want to waste my time. Subscribe, everybody. Hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. And I will see you guys in the morning. Special morning show. All right. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thanks, Miss Allie and Company. Boomer Loves Your Friday AI show with Rob. I'm into finding a robot to clean my donkey stalls and chicken coop. Oh, boy, do I have news for you for Friday, Miss Allie. Oh, my God. Lisa, thank you. And Happy New Year to the Sparklers. Tabitha, thanks. I'm glad I survived as well. I need to rest my voice for a day, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So wish me luck. And thank you guys so much. All right. Oh, and Lynn, thank you so much for the super chat. I miss Canada very much. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, please. And if you're on any of the other sites, maybe, and you do YouTube occasionally, make sure you're subscribed over there too. Help us get our numbers up. Thank you guys. Okay, I gotta go. I got a dinner to go to. I'm gonna get in trouble.